Hi there, my name's Tim, this is Surf Insight, and today we're looking at a really tricky problem, how to enter and exit over rocks. So what we're looking at really is there's a number of ways of going in, and you're going to see how you can do it right and how you can do it wrong. One of the first things to think of is watch other people. Spend your time, you're with your buddy maybe, and you've spent your time watching people, if it's a new place to you, how they got in and how they got out. And the other thing too is to really time the moment when you start to walk in or jump in. Now, we're going to look at a number of different ways. There's the shallow walkout over reef. There's the slightly deeper where you've got maybe boulders around you and you've got to get through those. And then there's going to be a jump in. And the jump in looks easy, but it's one of the ones if you get it wrong, then things can really badly go wrong. One of the most important things is protect yourself, of course. There is a kind of school of thought that thinks that if I wear boots, I won't hurt myself. Well, boots like this is a kind of pretty strong reef boot. Yeah, it would protect you, but urchins are often no respecter of reef boots, and they can even go through this kind of thick sole at the bottom. This one's pretty good, but I've still got a patch here that's soft, but they're good. But I think particularly a lot of women have said to me that they really don't particularly want to have cuts all over their feet, and I think that's the same for men too. So these do protect from cuts, but they don't necessarily going to protect you from urchins. Also, remember all the time the sensation of riding with boots on is going to feel a little bit different from when you're surfing in barefoot, but you get used to it. And some people spend their whole lives surfing mainly with boots on. So we're walking in, we've timed it. We're looking how people go in, how people come out. One of the first things to think of as you're going in is head down. Now, this place is called La Santa. It's in Lanzarote and has one of the most brutal little walkouts in and out that you'll find. The rock is really similar to Hawaii. It's volcanic, but also it's full of urchins and extremely slippery. Think now, you want to either have this leash in your hand. In fact, I don't often put my leash on until I've got into the water. We'll see an example of that. So I actually keep my leash kind of around my board until I've actually got in deep enough water and put my leash on. Some people will put the leash on, which is cool, but then they forget they've got the leash on. And either if they're coming in or coming out, they get the leash caught on the rock. And it's a nightmare. They're falling over crazy. That leash is going to get stuck. You'll see an example of this. If you have the leash tight like that in the hand, that can help. So personally, I don't put one on until I'm deep enough. But if you're going to walk over rocks, make sure that this is not going to tangle anyway. As soon as you're getting into deep enough water, float your board. Now there's going to be times like this wicked La Santa rocks where you'll want to support your body. Why? Because it's slippery and you can have your hand on the rock, and you'll see examples of this. Super important. Once you feel that you've got enough depth, you're in the water, support, but with the fins up. Now I'm kind of pretty old school, so I actually even used to paddle in very shallow water the way we used to do it, by lying on the board fins up. I don't think we'll see any examples of that today, but that does work. Support your body all the way until you feel enough depth. But don't forget, look down, especially if it's somewhere with urchins. Follow often, not the high rocks. People tend to try and stand on the high rock and now they're stuck, and when they come off it, bang! You stay, if you can, if you know there's not too many urchins in the low spots, stay in the low spots. High spots make you fall, low spots, and sometimes you can almost like put your foot and feel it out. I've done that many times. Put my foot down, go, oh, urchins, I'll go a different way. Take your time. Now, we're going to see examples of all of this stuff now. Good, bad, timing is everything. So we're going to see examples of good timing and one really bad one of bad timing coming in. The only thing that makes the bad timing are the waves. You don't wait until it's safe enough to paddle in. Okay guys, let's have a look through these videos now and explain the good points and the bad points. One thing I would say is watching people and asking advice, I've said it before, is absolutely vital. When you're coming back in as well, time it. Nothing worse than having a great serve, missed timing, coming back in on a reef and your board's busted, you've got cut feet or worse, whatever. Take your time.
Here's a friend of ours making a perfect entry in a really difficult place. Now keep looking where your feet are going. Rocks can be really slippery on a dropping tide or even a rising tide, like trestles. The little pebbles will make you fall over. But watch how he's carefully looking down every step that he goes. No point falling before you've even got to the water. And now he's carefully looking how much water is covering the rocks, and he'll be aware of the sets of waves coming in and how much water it's providing him. And don't be afraid to use your hands for support. Now these rocks are really difficult, but he's using his hand all the time. Watch how he'll just make a step and then use the hand, a little bit of support, just making sure he's not going to fall at any time. It's really useful to use that technique. Fins are up and you'll see his leash is not on, it's in his hands. Okay, getting into a little bit of deeper water, fins are up, and he's using the board now for a little bit of support and carefully putting his feet down. Now he'll slowly move his feet because there's urchins, so he's kind of feeling it out where he has to go. Pop the board over. Now he feels ready. He's got enough deep water to actually just push the board forwards and swim. It's very clever the way he's kicking 2 feet, so he's not going to smash his feet on the rocks. Nice and gentle. It's a great entry, really controlled. Swim to his board and go surfing. And the opposite of that is a wonderful example of what not to do. Now, the big thing about it is they haven't watched how people got off this reef. And in fact, the exit point is only about 10-15 meters to the right of them. But they're in real trouble now. The guy behind them, he's going to get in trouble, and the girl, particularly on the left. Let's watch what happens, because they haven't waited for the sets to stop, and the waves are going to come in. Now, the thing about whitewater waves over rocks, it's really shallow, and they maintain a huge amount of power. So she's in a super bad place. She's trying to get in, but watch what happens when the next waves come through. Even this little wave, it's going to come now, is going to knock her backwards. And you see a friend with the kind of greeny red board. She's trying to step on the highest rocks. And again, that's how to fall off. It's a mess. Absolute mess. Don't let yourself get into this situation. Take your time. Watch where the exits and entries are. This is not a good moment. She needs to jump, but she doesn't. She stands there, gets pushed back right into where she doesn't want to be, and her board really doesn't want to be there. This guy had just fallen over and he's on his bum, and watch what happens because he doesn't use his hand for support. The water is really shallow and he can't support the body with the board, but he should support it with the other hand. But his leash is way too long and he kind of stumbles and it's really difficult, but he could have made it. And back to our masters of disaster who are still trying to get out at the wrong place. Ooh. Guy who nearly falls over, put your hand down, get some support. Just don't do this. You've got your hands, you've got 2 feet, and he's stomping through this. He could put his foot in urchins so easily. Don't end up in this situation. And we love this guy too, and his approach to getting out on reefs. No support for the body, his leash is tangling, and this is a perfect moment. Ooh, fins down, slap into the water. It's horrendous, but he's really putting himself into trouble. And we'll see what happens now when he gets into a little bit of deeper water. And he's about to do something really weird. He thinks there's enough water, walks a little bit further, and that leash, oh, bang, oh, actually didn't go anywhere and slammed his board into the rocks at the bottom. Oh, what a surprise. goes a little bit further on, tries to get, let's jump on the board as soon as I can. Oh, there's rocks. Giving up, I'm swimming. This was a super bad entry. And our last master of disaster, holding the board with the rail hitting the rocks, and this is when you don't have that leash controlled. He's fallen already and gets up. Wonder why I can't move. My leash is stuck in the rocks. There it is. Picks it out and starts going forward. No support. Again, please don't do this. Respect your feet, respect your body, respect your board. So here's Dan, amazing swimmer, great guy, used to coach for us, going in a really careful and planned manner. He's looking up all the time, check if there's waves coming in, but look how he puts his feet down, leash really kind of tight to his legs so he's not going to trip over it. Every foot carefully placed, running around, just taking his time. Now as he gets to a little bit of deeper water, got that board down, fins are up, and he's using it for support. Too shallow, picks it back up, gets hold of the leash. Carefully picking his way through this shallow area, nice and slow, taking his time. And as he carefully gets to a little bit of deeper water, back to support. Look at that hand holding the leash. He's not going to want to fall over at all. Support. And he knows this reef well, but what he's doing would work anywhere. This is smart. Dan looks down, looks under the water. How much depth is there? I'll check it out. This guy's a real ocean guy, but he's checking out. Could I paddle yet? Having a little look at the rocks under the water. Little bit of a swim. He's an amazing swimmer. Checks it out, super deep, and he's a happy, perfect paddle out. So jumping off rocks, this is a really simple jump off, but over really sharp rocks, so I'm taking my time. Just making sure that my feet are not going to get cut, that I'm not going to urchins, and I don't fall. If I had to, I'll put my arm down. Now, this is the same principle if you're going to jump off a boat. Now, I don't often do a jump up with my leash on. I'll normally have my leash tied around the back of the board, ready to go. And you'll see there's no real surges of water here. But important, if you're going to jump in when there's waves coming, that you time this. This doesn't need any timing here. But sometimes you'll find that your jump off comes over the back of the water that's just come in. But make sure you project well away from the rocks or the boat. Putting my leash on afterwards, deep enough water, and I'm ready to go. So now I'm going to jump in with the leash on, but making sure it's not going to get caught over a rock, or if you're off a boat, jumping high, jumping out far, and just do it in a relaxed manner, and timing is everything.
So that's really a plan for entry and exit in reefs, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope the people who did fall over and whatever didn't damage themselves or their boards. Please subscribe to this channel. We hope we get to coach you in Sri Lanka or in Lanzarote, and we hope that your next surf is super magical. Thanks a lot.